Derby Wars, racing's biggest contest site, is now even bigger with more than 200 games every day. Check out Survivor, Derby Wars' hottest new game. It's fun, easy to play, and for just $4 you could win $1,000. Just pick a horse to finish first, second, or third and advance to the next race. With daily payouts and games starting every hour, you'll see why fans are racing to play Survivor.
Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the terrific pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm terrific, Brian. We got a lot of great racing to talk about again.
Yeah, this time of year is pretty cool, isn't it, sir? We have Derby preps going. We've got older horses starting to strut their stuff. Speaking of the latter, let's jump right into a huge, and I'm going to use the H word on you, Matt. Huge performance by Gunrunner. Gunrunner is, of course, making his first start of his older horse career. It was yesterday at Oaklawn Park in a $500,000 Razorback handicap. It's only a grade 3. They got some money in there this year, and it was only a grade 3 field to face him. So Gunrunner made short work of the field, Matt, but he looked good doing it.
He sure did, Brian, and you can use whatever adjective starting with whatever letters you want, Brian. You can use T for terrific or W for wonderful, whatever you want, Brian. That's the kind of performance that I like to see on the racetrack. I know it was not a great field, and that was a given, but Gunrunner looked absolutely phenomenal. He went fast. He extended his lead, and what I liked most was coming down the stretch, Florent Geroux just didn't stand up and let him coast for the last 16th of a mile. He put him to work and asked him to run, and just right by the wire, he eased up on him. So Gunrunner not only ran fast and ran well, but he's going to get something out of that race also, and he strutted his stuff.
Yeah, I think you said it well, Matt. It was a very sharp performance. Geroux didn't have to do much, but you saw the first quarter mile or the first eighth of a mile into the first turn. He asked just a little bit to make sure he had the lead, and then he coasted until the stretch. And maybe 16th of a mile, he scrubbed him just a little bit to keep him to his task. But Gunrunner was romping all the way, and then like you said, late he eased up just a bit, but it was a strong, fast performance, Matt. One thing I like about Gunrunner in his last two races, these two races have looked similar. Of course, he beat better horses in the Clark. By the way, these horses that he's beating yesterday are not as weak, I think, as people think. Those are some horses that can certainly run second and third in even bigger races than the Razorback. So they're not bums. He made them look a little bit pedestrian yesterday. But I really like what Asmussen said after the race. We've discovered with this horse, now 10, 11 races in, that we're just going to let him run, let him do what he wants to do. We know how good he showed tactical speed last year to put himself in good position race after race. He's never missed a check, Matt. But now the last two races, he's been a little bit more freewheeling on the lead. They're letting the horse be happy and do what he wants to do. Some races that could create an issue, but I think we're seeing the best Gunrunner yet, and I think we have a lot to look forward to. Matt, after the race, I thought, who would have beat Gunrunner yesterday? 9 furlongs on the dirt. What was it? 8.5 furlongs at the dirt at Oaklawn Park. And to tell you the truth, the list I came up with consisted of Arrogate, and I don't think Arrogate would have had an easy time beating him. That's how good I think Gunrunner was yesterday. I don't think Songbird would have beat him yesterday. That would have been interesting to see. I don't think Shaman Ghost would have beat him. I don't think Connect would have beat him. Gunrunner is that good.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, Brian. And to the extent that when I was voting in the NTRA poll, I switched it up. I moved Gunrunner to the number 2 spot above Songbird because I was thinking the exact same thing. The only chink in Gunrunner's armor right now is that he doesn't like a sloppy track. That's the only thing that I can say that's negative.
Yeah, and the Haskell, the Haskell was a funny race, so I'm not even ready to discount him if the track comes up wet. Yeah, Gunrunner. I think he should be number 2 as well, and that's where I have him. I thought about Songbird a little bit, but just the fact that Gunrunner has this race this year, Songbird has yet to be seen this year, made me put Gunrunner ahead of Songbird and Tepin and the likes of them. So big performance. Be interesting to see where he's going next. We're waiting for Arrogate. Arrogate could well be headed to Dubai. I think Gunrunner might be a little less likely to go to Dubai, but it could happen where they both go to Dubai. It could happen where neither go to Dubai. Gunrunner, I guess it would make sense if he doesn't go to Dubai to be back in less than 8 weeks at Oaklawn Park for the Oaklawn Park Handicap. Matt, let's start talking Kentucky Derby. You ready to talk Derby, Timmy?
I'm always ready to talk Derby with you, Brian Zipsy.
We have a very interesting race Saturday in New Orleans. It's an interesting card, but the Risen Star, which was drawn early, is a full field. I think it's a wide open race. I'm pretty convinced that Motown will be the favorite. Now, of course, we saw him in person, Matt, that day late in the season at Aqueduct. It was Cigar Mile Day. It was the Remsen Stakes, 9 furlongs, and Motown looked terrific. He won the Remsen impressively, the way he was tactical, the way he pounced, and the way he was strong late. Now, we should say that the horses he was beating that day, No Dozing and Tactful, both came back to not do so well out of that Remsen. Not sure what to think. Remsen winners in the past have struggled first race back.
Yeah, Brian, and when I wrote my preview of the Risen Star, that's exactly the way I felt. Talented horse, but long layoff here. Field of 14. Got horses that can run on lead, horses that can close. I just think it's a tough spot for Motown to come back in, and I'm leaning much more towards Guest Suite in the race.
Yeah, Motown. I'm a little bit liking Motown a little bit more than you are, and I said that last week with Uncontested, and that didn't go very well for me. Of course, I didn't bet him at those odds, but Motown really impressed me last fall. So I think a really good Motown wins this, but definitely hesitant as the favorite, and as many horses as can win this, and as good as odds we'll have on a lot of these horses. I won't be putting my money on Motown either. Now, Guest Suite won the Lecomte. It came up a little wet that day. He rallied impressively. Neil Howard's horse, bred to go a distance. He's improving with every start. He was beaten by McCracken last year, but he looks like a horse really getting better with time. But how can you eliminate a lot of horses that ran pretty well in that wet Lecomte? I'm talking about Untrapped, Arklow, Takeoff, Shareholder Value. So the Lecomte horses all interest me. Hard not to like Guest Suite best. Then you got a bunch of others that are very interesting as well. So Conflated ran a very interesting race in winning the California Derby, where he just rushed to the lead late. Cool Arrow coming from Remington Park. I think Sorry Eric is a very interesting. He's 30-1 on the morning line, but since he got blinkers in California and went to the DeSormo barn, he's looked good to me. As a real bomb in here. Maybe my top pick, though, is Local Hero, who looks to be getting better and better for Asmussen. 3 lifetime races, and his last win at Fairgrounds was pretty big.
Yeah, Brian, I kind of like the outsiders in this race, and when I say outsiders, I mean the horses that did not run in the Lecomte except for Guest Suite. I'm not looking for that second, third, fourth, and fifth place horse to be in there at the end. But I do like the O'Neill horse. I found it very interesting. They could have stayed out there, run at Golden Gate Fields again in the El Camino Real, but I get the feeling that O'Neill has some good thoughts in mind for this horse. So they're going to the dirt, and they're going to the fairgrounds with that horse. So I think that's a good thing. I like both of Joe Sharp's horses in the race, Cool Arrow that you mentioned, and Jervin, who broke his maiden and then came back in to get second in a turf race, which Sharp said he's using strictly as a prep for the Risen Star. I also like Local Hero that you mentioned.
Yeah, Local Hero might need to be on the lead. I'm not sure, which makes me like him a little less. But if he can sit second or third, I like him even more. I didn't even mention, you call him Jervin. I was imagining his name was Gervin. Of course, it's not spelled like the Iceman, the great George Gervin. So maybe you're right with Jervin. However you call it, Gervin, he's a very interesting lightly raced horse too for Joe Sharp. So really nice field. If I had to pick one, it would be Local Hero. But if Sorry Eric is 30-1 or more, I'm going to have a few dollars on him. All right, Matt, let's switch gears on this Kentucky Derby trail and go backwards. We're going to go back yesterday again to Oaklawn Park. Nice card at Oaklawn Park. And while Gunrunner impressed us both greatly, I think what we saw in the Southwest Stakes was awfully impressive too. One-liner, lightly raced Todd Pletcher, son of Into Mischief, looked really good.
He certainly did, Brian. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, Pletcher's really putting this horse in an ambitious spot, considering that he'd never gone 2 turns and he'd only started 2 times, but Pletcher knew what he was doing, and Johnny V, the regular rider on One-Liner, rode a perfect race. The horse broke alertly, got into a nice, comfortable stalking position outside of the leaders, not very far off in 4th place, and coming around the turn, pounced, and when One-Liner engaged the leaders, he took off and extended and ran impressively. Inexperienced still. Johnny V set a little green coming down the stretch, but was very competitive and aggressive and drew off and felt that he can go a greater distance. Interestingly, the time in that race was only like 0.88 slower than what Gunrunner ran in the Razorback, earning a 102 Beyer speed figure. That's a big number for a 3-year-old these days.
Yeah, if we're going to talk Beyers, Matt, I think we should. Gunrunner ran a 110 in the Razorback. He did it more easily. He wasn't pushed in any way. But yeah, 102 for a 3-year-old. I like a lot of things about this performance. Uncontested was running fast on the lead. And for One-Liner to be back in 4th, coming out of only 2 sprints, one, of course, was back last summer. So only 1 recent sprint. For him to be able to sit 4th and then make that nice move on the far turn and early in the stretch like he did, I was impressed with everything I saw. The time came back fast. The Beyer came back big. Clearly better than Petrov. Petrov is a nice horse. He ran another good race. I will say this about Uncontested, the horse I thought was the one to beat in there. Something looked amiss to me. It looked like Channing Hill had a lot of horse as they were about to come into the straightaway, and then all of a sudden he just came up completely empty. So I think we might find something physical there with Uncontested, but that takes nothing away from the performance of One-Liner. It was big, and especially as lightly raced, and the fact that he was able to somewhat relax early and then make his move. Into Mischief, Cherokee Run mare does concern me a little bit going forward to 10 furlongs. 8.5, 9 should be fine. This horse seems like he has a world of potential. Looking at Lee, Matt was the horse that rallied for 3rd, as he often does. And he was well back early, but the fact that he was nearly a dozen lengths back does not make me move looking at Lee any higher on my list. I didn't have him in the top 10 before, and I'm still not going to. He's good at rallying up for a check, but I don't see him as a Derby winner quite yet.
Yeah, Brian, that's an important thing to note on the screen coming down the stretch in that race. There was nobody else even near, and as you said, looking at Lee was a good 12 lengths behind the leader and another 8 lengths behind Petrov in 2nd place.
Yeah, the track may have been playing a little bit towards speed, but still, looking at Lee will have to improve. I know we're talking about looking at Lee a little bit because I know a lot of people like the late runner, but I need to see more still. Now, Matt, we need to mention what happened at Golden Gate real quick. It is a synthetic surface out there. Ann Arbor Eddie, who's a really nice Calbred, was run down late by a horse who just didn't figure. The horse's name is Zakharov, and I guess he was nearly 50-1 in winning the El Camino Real Derby on Saturday.
Yeah, a legitimate long shot in that race. The race came up really slow. Congratulations on the win, but that's not a serious Derby contender in my eyes.
Agreed. Serious Derby contenders to serious Oaks contenders. We all know about Unique Bella. I'm even wondering if she does go Derby this year. But after Unique Bella, I think a lot of the best fillies in the country are all congregating to New Orleans, to Fairgrounds on Saturday. It's the Rachel Alexandra. It's one of the races on this Risen Star card. Pharrell out of Malibu Moon is really good. I don't think she's getting enough credit for her recent wins. She did it at Churchill. She's already done it this year at Fairgrounds. Shane's girlfriend was impressive last year, ran into Unique Bella this time, gets away from her. Valadorna ran a big race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies last year and got up late to win her return, a daughter of Curlin. Untapped is there again. Wicked Lick, who chased Pharrell last time. So this Rachel Alexandra is really an excellent race.
A terrific field, like you said, Brian. Three of the top contenders in the 3-year-old filly division, trying to pick up points for the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Pharrell in here. Valadorna might have more potential, especially as we go longer. Maybe more potential for the Kentucky Oaks for the Cassie barn, but Pharrell is going so well right now. It's hard to look past her in this race. But yeah, the best Oaks prep for sure to date. That's the Rachel Alexandra on the Risen Star undercard. Good turf racing. There's a good turf race for females. There's one for males. But the other race that interests me the most on Saturday at Fairgrounds, of course, is the Mineshaft. And Matt, you just have a bunch of returning names in there.
We sure do. And Brian, that race has got to interest you also because it's the first leg of an all-stakes pick 4. And I know, my friend, you love those all-stakes pick 4s. So, Brian, you're going to want to get off to a good start in that wager, I know, this weekend. But like you said, the return of some horses that I think all of us liked a lot at various points in the last couple of years, with Eagle coming back. One of my horses I really liked, International Star, who dominated the Derby Trail at Fairgrounds, and also the return of Motom. So all of them coming back, haven't run in months and months. So good trainers and talented horses.
Eagle could be a Grade 1 winner this year, Matt. Motom could be a Grade 1 winner this year. I'm not so ready to say that for International Star, but of course he's won some nice races over the years. All of them have been away since the summer or even early summer last year. Dazzling Gem, I'm still thinking, could do some good things. Dalmore has run some very good races out in California. I haven't mentioned my top pick yet, Matt, in the race to start this pick 4, and my top pick is actually a Paul McGee lightly raced son of Street Sense. His name is December 7. I think December 7 is the real deal. I saw him at Churchill last year. Very lightly raced for a 4-year-old, coming off a nice win at Fairgrounds for Paul McGee. And I think December 7 is going to be close to this pace early. And unless one of the big returners, I think Eagle and Motom are the most scary of the returners. Unless one of them runs a huge race, I could see December 7 winning as the 4th, 5th, 6th choice maybe.
Sounds like a good strategy, Brian, because there's a lot of question marks out there for those returnees and even for Dalmore, but they're going to take a lot of money. So sounds like a zipsy pick that all you HorseCenter fans should pay attention to.
Yeah, December 7. Don't pay too much attention to and knock my odds down, though. No, December 7 I do like quite a bit. He's 8-1 on the morning line. So look out for him in the Mineshaft in a really interesting Mineshaft field. All right, Matt, before we go, I think we do need to pay homage to a really, really wonderful horse. He came out of nowhere about 20 years ago for D. Wayne Lucas. He was honestly going nowhere fast. Very pretty chestnut named Charismatic. And, of course, he strung together really big wins, the Lexington Stakes, and then, of course, the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. We all know We all know he ran a very brave race in the Belmont Stakes when Chris Antley jumped off. Charismatic was a wonderful horse. He was in Japan for years, recently brought back to America. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here. We had the pleasure of visiting him. My family and I, we had some extended family in town, so I took them out to old friends on Saturday. Charismatic was a horse that we spent quite a bit of time with on Saturday. And then Matt, of course, he passed away that night in his barn, pretty severe injury, and they found him in a stall the next morning. So Charismatic, a horse that deserves to be remembered in the greatest of ways, and it was nice to see him one last time.
Yeah, that was terrific. That was fortunate for you, Brian. And Charismatic was a horse that captured so many people's hearts, and a lot of that was due to the Belmont Stakes story on national TV, and it was quite a scene. But like you said, Brian, it was one of D. Wayne Lucas's great training feats back in his heyday. Because as you said, he was struggling in the claiming ranks, $50,000 claiming ranks, until Lucas turned him around, and what a run he went on. And people love that kind of rags to riches kind of story. And hats off to Michael Blowen for bringing him back to the U.S., where he lived his last couple months in style, as a center of attention at the wonderful retirement farm Old Friends.
Well said, sir. And on that note, we're going to bid you adieu. We're going to be back, of course, next week talking more Kentucky Derby and all things horse racing here on HorseCenter. I want to thank you, as always, for tuning in each week and watching. I also want to thank the best contest site out there, Derby Wars, for their sponsorship. Any closing shots from you, Matt?
Thank you to our producer, Brett Workman, for his great work as always.
We'll see you next week, folks.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby. Charismatic gets away quickly, and Answer Lively shows speed toward the inside. Cat Thief with the white blinkers, and Worldly Manor is up front, passing us for the first time. Now Valhall shoots through, and Valhall takes command. On the outside, it's Cat Thief second. On the inside, it's Answer Lively third. Here comes Stephen Got Even in red, moving up fourth. Desert Hero is fifth. Worldly Manor on the outside sixth, and it's a traffic jam at the first turn. Three Ring on the inside finds room and gains ground. The filly moves up. Charismatic drops back. Back on the front end. Valhall leads it by 3/4 of a length. That's Cat Thief in second. Worldly Manor in blue on the outside moves third. Stephen Got Even is fourth. At the rail, Answer Lively is fifth. Desert Hero sixth. Charismatic seventh. Kimberlite Pipe is eighth. On the inside, the filly, that's Three Ring Racing ninth. Middle of the racetrack. Vicar is 10th at this point. First American shoots through on the inside, then Prime Timber, then Adonis at the rail. Ecton Park followed by Menifee. Then the Baffert horses are fourth and third last. General Challenge and the filly Excellent Meeting. Lemon Drop Kid is 18th at this point. And K1 King, they're midway on the turn. And moving through on the inside, Cat Thief with the white blinkers has the lead. And here comes Worldly Manor, trained in Dubai, up to challenge. And Worldly Manor puts a head in front. It's Worldly Manor on the outside. Cat Thief at the rail. And Charismatic is coming on strongly. Down the stretch they come. Cat Thief digging in at the rail. Worldly Manor with Jared Bailey. Charismatic trained by Lucas on the outside. Now Lucas running 1-2. Charismatic on the outside takes command. On the inside, Cat Thief. In the middle of the track, Menifee is flying. But it's Charismatic holding on to win it by